Okay, welcome. So we are continuing with the Emunah faith in action, and let's see what faith looks like in action. We're going to continue where we were last week, or actually 2 weeks ago now, because we took a break last week for Purim. We were talking about the concept that when a person has faith in God Almighty, then they are not going to be subject to the king's decrees. I want to go through that paragraph in some detail and really understand how we can apply that in a practical way today. So we're going to pull up over here on the screen. We have this page 363. And in this page, the author is discussing the different benefits of the of being in a relationship, in a state, and a feeling of knowing that God Almighty is taking care of us. And so if we go through the middle paragraph right here, we see other advantages are emancipation of the soul and the body from wearing occupations and from professions that exhaust the body, and avoidance of the service of kings, enforcement of their laws, and the oppression of their subjects. One who trusts in God chooses a source of livelihood that offers his body more rest, acquires for him a good name, affords him leisure for reflection, is most conducive to fulfilling his religious duties, and is in harmony with his beliefs. So we could put this into the test and say, well, one second here. If we see a person, and we see this today, we see a lot of people that are very distressed about mandates and stuff like that. And they're like, well, they have no choice. They have to give in to the mandates because they want to keep their job. Well, I want to suggest that that is showing a lack of faith, because what the author is saying over here is that we're supposed to choose an occupation that is restful or affords him more rest. It's honorable. He has time for other things in his life, and it's conducive to fulfilling his religious duties, and it's in harmony with his beliefs. So if a person's in a situation where they have to follow a mandate, or they're put in a situation where they're going to be challenged to fabricate documents to try to establish their satisfaction in the mandates, both of which would not be in accordance with their beliefs, then the question is, are they really trusting in God Almighty? That's really the question that each one of us has to ask ourselves. And I want to suggest that if we see over here that if a person's saying they have to give in to the requirements, then that is a lack of trust. Because if, for example, let's say a person took a job that offers him more rest and is in accordance with his religious duties and with his beliefs, and let's say that means, for example, that he has time to pray in the morning, he has time to pray in the afternoon, in the evening, he has the Sabbath off, and so forth. Then the employer comes along and says, sorry, right now everyone's going to have to work 7 days, or this is your new shift, and you have to work on Saturdays, or you have to work in the evenings. And then person's going to say, oh, well, they have no choice, they have to comply with this. Then they took the job. It's very easy to say that they had faith when they took the job. The employer wasn't requiring them to work on the Sabbath. But now the test is the employer is requiring them to work on the Sabbath. So therefore they have to say, okay, this is not the job for me. There must be a job out there that God Almighty is going to show me that will meet the requirements. Because he's saying over here that one of the advantages, one of the benefits of being in trusting in God is that this is what's going to come his way, and he's going to choose. One who trusts in God chooses a source of livelihood that offers him that is in harmony with his beliefs. So I think it's just very very important to emphasize that. And I think that what is unfortunately happening is that a lot of people who are conceding to these mandates are doing so, it's tragically, their faith is being challenged, but the end result is they're assuming that there's no other way that God will take care of them unless they give in to the mandates or pretend to give in to the mandates and do something that's against their beliefs, which is forging papers. And the proper faithful approach would be say to the employer, thank you very much. I understand that you have requirements that are not in accordance with my religious beliefs, not in accordance with my health beliefs. What he doesn't say over here is in harmony with his beliefs. It doesn't say anything about necessarily what we call religious beliefs per se, meaning to say, beliefs that are grounded purely in a religious source. It could be a belief that whatever it is, whatever you want to believe, you will find work that is in accordance with, in harmony with your beliefs. Now, we know that Torah teaches us that everything in life is really part of our service of God. So there's nothing that's independent of the service of the God. We don't have service of God Almighty. We don't have, like areas which are spiritual and areas that are not spiritual. Everything is really the service of God. So everything we should be doing has to be in harmony with our beliefs. So it only makes sense that a person who trusts in God is going to say no to positions that are saying that they cannot act in harmony with their beliefs, and they can only be there if they are going to truthfully or untruthfully comply with the mandates. So this is something that's really very important, and it doesn't just, it's coming to a head in our times, but it's really something that we need to understand. It goes across the board. What kind of conversations go into that business? What kind of work environment is it? What kind of hostility is there? What kind of honesty is there? What kind of integrity is there among the employees to each other, among the employees to the company to the employees, the integrity of the company to the customers and to the clients, and so forth? And are they representing clients with integrity? So if that's part of our beliefs, which it is, that we want to be in places that are honest and with integrity, then a person should walk away from any position that is not going to be in harmony with their beliefs. In staying in those positions, a person is showing a lack of trust in God Almighty. In staying with the clients who don't have integrity, don't have honesty, it's showing a lack of trust in God Almighty. And in complying with things that you don't believe in is also showing a lack of trust. So that's why we need this class, because we need to practice and we need to learn and understand and grasp what is it required to reveal in us this trust. Meaning we've said already that trust we're defining as betachan, we're defining as not just trust, but a certainty, a certitude of feeling that God Almighty is taking care of me personally, individually, and providing everything I need at all times. So that's something that we need to build. We need to build that spiritual compass. We need to build that spiritual backbone. And then we are not in any way going to be bent out of shape or bothered by what other people are telling us that the job requirements are, because if it doesn't meet our beliefs, we're simply willing to walk away. Now, the advantage, interestingly enough, of people walking away from their positions to follow their faith and follow their beliefs is that they will actually find positions that are in accordance with the belief, where they can work in harmony with their beliefs. And the more people that do that, the more it's going to benefit everybody. So really, when a person acts in a way of not having faith and says that they will either comply or pretend to comply, they're actually letting everyone down. They're letting themselves down. They're letting their creator down. They're letting their the people who look up to them for an example, they're letting them down. And then what they're doing is they're reducing the number of people who are, at least from the outsides, willing to do what's right, because they've now gone and either complied or pretended to comply. So if you walk down the street and you see people going into that office building, you know that office building requires everyone to steal from their customers. You're working for a company that everyone steals from their customers. That is letting everyone else down, because even if the person's going there and says he's not going to do it, he's going to fake to the employer that he's stealing from the customers. Then the end result is that the person who's on the outside, or the other employee who's struggling, is on the fence. Should he give in and also steal from the customers? That seems that's the company culture. So this person who's not stealing but pretending to steal is letting everyone down, because he's making a public declaration that he is willing to steal in order to keep his job and violate his beliefs. So that leads to a lack of integrity, leads to a society-wide lack of integrity. It's better to be that there should be a person that should have the integrity, he should state it clearly, and the consequences, those are in God's hands. Instead of trying to play the system, trying to game the system, trying to join the system, these are all compromises and terrible things that happen. And this is how people's careers start off, is they make choices to get the job, to stay in the job, and so forth. It all involves compromises and taking action that's against their integrity, against their beliefs. So we see, therefore, the person who trusts in God is going to not have these things come to cloud his vision. He is instead going to take the right action, and he's going to choose a livelihood. Offers his body more rest, acquires for him a good name. It's an honorable work. Affords him leisure for reflection. He could be a ditch digger, in the sense of in terms of the honorability of his work. He could run a backhoe, but it's honorable work. I mean, to say he's not busy cheating people, he's not deceiving people, he's not deceiving the customer, he's not deceiving the city or whoever he's working for. It could be acquire him a good name as an honorable and honest person. So we're not talking about it has to be a particular type of work. We're saying that the work is in line with God's vision. Affords him leisure for reflection, is most conducive to fulfilling his religious duties, and is in harmony with his beliefs. For practical means will not in the slightest degree either increase one's portion or detract from it, unless it is by God's decree. So the things that we do not change our income. It's not the physical actions we take, but rather it's by God's decree. That's what increases or decreases our income. For it says, for not from the east or from the west, and not from the wilderness is one lifted up, but it is God who judges, brings down one and lifting up another. So this is what we have to keep in mind over here. This is from Psalms, Book of Tehillim, Psalm 75, verses 7 and 8. And then we see that King David says, he makes me lie down in green pastures, he guides me beside calm waters. I'm in the green pastures. I'm in the calm waters. That what's happening around me is not the test of where I am. In fact, King David said this when he was on the verge of death from starvation and dying of thirst. And he was able to say this because this is where his mind was at. This is where his heart was at. And the consequence was that because of that, that is his defining signature, is his ability to see that and perceive that and feel that no matter what's going on around him, whether it's in his own personal life, whether it's in his family life, whether it's in his communal life and the nation of Israel as a whole. So we're going to stop over here, but I think this is just a very, very essential point. Listen to this again and really ingrain this. Ask yourself a question and it's not too late to change. Meaning to say, I would say that a person who has compromised until now has compromised either by giving in or to any of these, whatever the issue is, whether it's an honesty issue, an integrity issue, whether it's a mandate issue, or whether they gave in by actually going along or pretending to go along. It is not too late to make a statement and say, what is the right thing to do now? Is it right to continue in this position? And there's going to be many more. Once a person works for many more requests and demands, once a person works for a place that's dishonest and they want to cause him to be dishonest with the customers, well, he gives in one time, it's going to happen a second time, third time. It only increases because now they see that, hey, it's profitable. So same thing as with mandates. Once a person gives into the mandates, they will require more and more mandates on this and other fronts. So the key is to say, I am going to make a statement of integrity to myself. It's not about showing off. It's about making integrity to myself. Sit down with your spouse, sit down with your family, discuss what does it mean to live in trust of God. Read this paragraph with them and discuss it and come to a decision and pray about it. Well, what the right thing to do is, because by making that decision, by saying that you will not associate with people who lack integrity, that you will not pretend to belong to people who lack integrity, then you are actually changing the nature and the direction of the entire world, and all the people that see you, all the people that you influence at home and in the public world, and also the world as a whole.